From South Carolina Public Radio, this is the South Carolina Lede. I'm your host, Gavin Jackson, and this episode was recorded on March 2nd, 2026 at the Francis Marion Hotel here in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina.
Wow.
Yes, that's right. Meg Kennard's with me in the room too, folks.
Hello.
Oh. She's not on this episode, but she's on this episode as a huge friend of the pod. Very good company to be in. We'll have more of Meg later this week, though, I promise. Now, on this episode of The Lede, America finds itself at war in the Middle East again. We hear from Senator Lindsey Graham about joint strikes launched by American and Israeli forces against Iran on Saturday. And we have some additional insight from my conversation with Winthrop University political science professor Dr. Scott Huffmon about what interventionist policies by the Trump administration means. And former President Joe Biden was in Colombia last week, marking 6 years since he won the pivotal primary that launched him to the White House. And AT is back, folks. So stay tuned for that and his RSV. Also, check out the State House Gavel at scetv.org/thegavel, where Tuesday through Friday, my Aunt Schechter and myself bring you recaps, previews, big and small State House moments, meeting schedule highlights, photos, videos, and more. We'll be incorporating that into the podcast as we go forward. And of course, the Lede loves hearing from everyone. That's why we have a voicemail box set up at 803-563-7169, where you guys can call in, let us know how you're doing, what's on your mind, and what you want us to talk about in the wind down section. That's at 803-563-7169. All right, let's look at what's on tap this week at the State House. It is week 8 at the State House, and we have a big election day on Wednesday with the state Supreme Court race and several other judicial elections going on. That's where lawmakers vote on those seats, so we'll have a full recap for you on what happens on Wednesday. Up in Congress, they are in session this week, and we expect Democrats to push for a war powers vote on the war with Iran. That's something you'll be watching play out up there in Congress. And on the economic front, on Friday, we get February unemployment numbers. Data. Big week. A lot of things going on. But undoubtedly, you are aware that the United States, along with Israel, have launched missiles at some 2,000 land and sea sites in Iran beginning Saturday morning. This follows weeks of massive buildup of American military forces in the region. The Ayatollah has been reportedly killed as President Donald Trump said that the action was a continuation of American efforts to stop Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, as well as regime change following protests that have been met with violent force in the country. There have also been explosions in other neighboring Gulf countries. 4 American troops were killed by an attack on a fortified position, reportedly in Kuwait, despite air defenses. And Kuwaiti forces accidentally shot down 3 American F-15s, though the pilots ejected and were recovered safely. The Strait of Hormuz, the major shipping channel on Iran's southern border that carries 1/5 of the world's seaborne oil and liquefied natural gas, has been shut down, and OPEC producers have increased oil output. So just a little bit about where we are right now, folks. I know the president also spoke on Monday, but we do have some of his comments from Saturday that I'm going to play for you. And I don't want to turn this into a national or international podcast, as there are plenty out there right now that are much better than us, as I hate to admit that, but this is an important moment that I do want to highlight because there are ramifications, of course, as there always are for America and South Carolina. But here's part of President Donald Trump's address on Saturday.
Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world.
Senator Lindsey Graham was on NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday morning and told moderator Kristen Welker that the goal of the attacks was to change the threat and not the regime. Welker asked if we are at war with Iran.
I think the Ayatollah would say, yeah. I don't know if this is technically a war, but here's what I can say the headline is for me Sunday. The mothership of terrorism is sinking. The captain is dead. The largest state sponsor of terrorism, Iran, is close to collapsing. The leader of the largest state sponsor of terrorism and his inner team are dead. The mothership that fuels the proxies is in sinking mode. The goal of this operation is to change the threat, not the regime. When this operation is over, no matter who takes over in Iran, they will not have ballistic missiles to hurt us, Israel, or the region. They will not have the capability to be the largest state sponsor of terrorism, whether it's a cleric or a group of representative of the country where there's an election. It doesn't matter right now. Iran in the future will no longer be the largest state sponsor of terrorism. They cannot rain terror on the region. They cannot commit mass murder. That's the goal of this operation. Again, the mothership of terrorism is sinking. The captain is dead. Well done, President Trump. It's been the policy of this country for decades to eliminate this regime. President Trump did it. Admiral Cooper came up with a military plan that's unbelievable. We're not done yet, but when it is done, Iran will no longer be capable of being the largest state sponsor of terrorism. That is the goal, and that goal will be achieved.
Senator, let me ask you, because as you are saying, the leader, the Ayatollah supreme leader, is dead. Will the United States pick the next leader of Iran, or will the Iranian people pick the next leader?
I talked to the Crown Prince. He's got some ideas about transition. There will be no American boots on the ground. This is not Iraq. This is not Germany. This is not Japan. We're going to free the people up from a terrorist regime. And the goal is not only to help the Iranian people to chart a new destiny, to make sure no matter who takes over in Iran, no matter who it is, no matter who the people pick, they cannot become the largest state sponsor of terrorism. They can't fuel Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas. They can't have ballistic missiles. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They will be out of the terrorism business. So the people will pick. As to the people, choose wisely. We want to be your friend. We'd like to have a good relationship with you going forward.
That was Senator Lindsey Graham on NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday morning with moderator Kristen Welker. Now, some more reaction from our lawmakers. 5th District Democrat Congressman James Clyburn said in a statement, quote, "The Constitution gives Congress the power to declare war for a reason, to ensure that such a consequential decision is made only after full consideration by the people's representatives. The Trump administration, in disregarding that constitutional requirement in attacking Iran, has put American lives at risk despite the apparent absence of an imminent threat to our country or a coherent strategy to achieve a successful outcome," quote. And that was Clyburn. Also in our delegation, 1st District Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace said on social media that the U.S. and Israel, quote, "did not flinch and did not negotiate with darkness," quote. Now, in our last podcast, you heard my conversation with Winthrop University political science professor Dr. Scott Huffmon about the state of play heading towards South Carolina's June primaries. Now, in editing that conversation, I held back on this question that I asked him about foreign interventions that the Trump administration continues to launch despite campaigning heavily on a promise to never do such things, avoiding so-called forever wars. Here's what Huffmon said.
That America First title is really important. When you look at the Republican Party, you can see subgroups of it. Broadly, you can see MAGA, hardcore Trump all the way. the America First folks and traditional Republicans. Now, they were all in lockstep for so long, making sure Trump got to the White House and the Democrats lost. Well, now that he's back in the White House a second time, getting involved in these foreign entanglements, that's exactly what the America First people did not want. We saw Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, begin to defect from Trump. So there are cracks in that coalition that were once in lockstep. And that has some really important ramifications as the end of Trump's tenure, continues to roll along. Can anybody take up the MAGA mantle? Can anybody really be the next Trump other than Trump? What happens when the America First Republicans continue to be angry about foreign entanglements and peel off from the Trump supporters? So those foreign entanglements are making a difference in national politics.
This is another reason why you guys want to go check us out at youtube.com/@SCETV News. There's always more there, folks.
All right.
But for additional context on this at the state level, I was at a gubernatorial forum in Greenville last week. But afterwards, Lieutenant Governor Pam Evatt did gaggle with the media there, which we always love and appreciate when candidates do that. But it also means we're going to ask an array of questions, including my question to her about foreign interventions and the military buildup in the Persian Gulf.
Well, when you talk about Iran, for as long as I can remember, they have yelled death to America. And we have never really been able, I was more worried as a mom that their nuclear program was getting further and further along and nobody seemed to be putting a watchful eye on it. I say thank you to President Trump for what he did, stopping, at least in its tracks for right now, its nuclear program and looking to stop it well into the future. I think what worries me more is Iran. I feel that President Trump will lead with peace through strength like he has always done, and that gives me a feeling of comfort. I was at the Vatican a year ago. They asked me to speak on peace, and I spoke about peace through strength. And all strong leaders, that's been the theme, is how do you get the right leader that has the courage and the strength to do what needs to be done, and President Trump has been able to do that.
Remember, South Carolina is a major military state with several high-profile installations that have recently increased security measures. We have Fort Jackson in Columbia, where some 50% of all Army recruits undergo basic combat training. You have Joint Base Charleston, which is home to the 437th Airlift Wing and its fleet of massive C-17 Globemaster aircraft that support missions worldwide, including Operation Epic Fury. The Joint Base also includes Naval Support Activity Charleston. There's Shaw Air Force Base in the Midlands in Sumter, one of the largest bases in the country, and home to the 15th Air Force and its 3 F-16 fighter squadrons, and the 9th Air Force, which is the Air Force component of U.S. Central Command, which has an area of responsibility that encompasses the Middle East. Also in the Low Country, we have Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort, which is home to 2 F-35 attack squadrons and 1 F-18 attack squadron. The base is also near Marine Corps Recruit Depot Parris Island, where Marines east of the Mississippi are trained. So, you guys know a lot about this. It's always worth reminding you about just how big of a military presence there is, not just with active military, but of course our retirees that live here as well. And I say that because there's a lot of connection to what is going on globally right now here in South Carolina. And folks should be mindful of the fact that many service members are involved in this operation and also have family, friends, and other ties to the state here. So, a lot going on, a lot at stake here when we do have these massive operations going on across the globe. But moving on, coming back home, on February 27th, former President Joe Biden was in Columbia to thank supporters and voters who gathered at the Columbia Museum of Art some 6 years after he won the pivotal presidential primary in the state, thanks in part to his strong ties to the state as well as the critical endorsement of Congressman Jim Clyburn. South Carolina Public Radio's Luis Alfredo Garcia was covering the event for Team SCETV in Public Radio and has this report.
Former President Joe Biden makes a stop at the Columbia Museum of Art Friday night. The South Carolina Democratic Party hosts an event served as a thank you for those in attendance and for Biden. It comes 6 years after his pivotal 2020 primary election victory in the early voting state. He credits the election with essentially turning around his campaign.
South Carolina, it's good to be back home.
Biden has been criticized for how he handled his 2024 re-election bid before Kamala Harris became the Democratic Party nominee, but the room was full of nothing but supporters and political allies. Biden critiqued President Donald Trump's administration. He says the president mishandled the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, who were shot and killed by federal immigration agents in Minnesota. Protests formed around South Carolina after the deaths. And Biden also refers to South Carolina's current measles outbreak.
Did anyone ever think you'd ever see a resurgence of measles in America again?
He was joined by figures like Democratic U.S. Representative James Clyburn and South Carolina Democratic Party Chair Crystal Spain. The night was more of a commemoration than anything else. Biden closed with a nod to the late Reverend Jesse Jackson.
This week, the nation pays tribute to the son of South Carolina, Reverend Jesse Jackson. And guess what? What were the words he used? Keep hope alive.
Columbia will host memorial services for Reverend Jackson Monday.
You can find that report from Lewis and more at southcarolinapublicradio.org. And we have a governor's race update for you.
2026 Watch.
I put together a little package on the latest from the governor's race, including comments from Republicans at that recent forum in Greenville. And we start off by hearing from Professor Huffmon on Governor Henry McMaster's endorsement of his Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Evette, to replace him and the importance of that.
Well, we did a poll a while back when we were just testing name recognition, and an overwhelming majority of Republicans said an endorsement from Trump would carry a whole lot of weight. Well, McMaster, of course, is a favorite of Trump. He was the first statewide elected official to endorse Trump the first time around. And of course, we know how Trump helped him become governor. So we're not sure if we can say an endorsement from McMaster is almost as good as silver compared to a gold for Evette, and if it's a first step to an endorsement from Trump, but it means a lot. And so the polling that we're going to see after that endorsement is going to tell us how much weight McMaster carries among the potential voters.
But ladies and gentlemen, it is a thrill for me and for Peggy to be here to urge you. We want to endorse Pam for our next governor, urge you to get behind her. Be sure we have to keep winning. South Carolina has been winning. We need to keep winning with Pamela Evette as our next governor. Thank you.
So the biggest thing I've learned from the governor is that communication, cooperation, and collaboration means a lot. And you can see, because we've had win after win here in South Carolina and success after success, working alongside with the General Assembly to get things done. That's what the people of South Carolina expect. That's what they're used to. And that's how we've continued to grow and be the powerhouse that we are.
The event was a made-for-TV moment that also prompted a new ad from the Evette campaign that dropped this week.
Another warrior is your Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Evette.
Bringing President Trump's agenda to South Carolina, Pamela Evette.
Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Evette. She's fantastic.
Banning sanctuary cities, defending life and the Second Amendment, protecting women's sports, and now endorsed by Governor Henry McMaster.
We keep winning with Pamela Evette as our next governor.
Business leader, America First Conservative, Pamela Evette for governor.
Your Lieutenant Governor is going places. You do know that, right?
The same day as McMaster's endorsement, Attorney General Alan Wilson dropped his first campaign ad.
When the far-left Democrats came after Alan Wilson, they didn't count on him having the courage to fight back.
When I defended President Trump in the late 2020 after the election was over, I had over 30 complaints filed against me to take my bar license. It took me 4 years of defending myself from people who's on the far left who were trying to take my livelihood, prevent me from being your attorney general because I had the guts to stand up for our president. But that's the kind of courage you need as governor.
Alan Wilson, courage under fire, a fighter for South Carolina.
In January, Wilson became the first candidate to announce his running mate, car dealer and Florence Republican Senator Mike Rickenbach, who has represented the PD County since 2022.
And we will work for affordability for families, profitability for businesses, and stability for our communities. Because all the wins of great infrastructure, it's important. Great jobs, it's important. Workforce development, education, those are all so important. But if people don't feel safe, if they don't feel safe, it doesn't matter nearly as much.
Alan Wilson, the narrative around him has very much been defined by Nancy Mace's attacks on him. And this is one way, making proactive moves that he can reclaim the narrative. And he's going to have to continue to do that because I don't see attacks against him abating anytime soon. His family name is so well known, he's going to be a primary target. And that includes, I think, when Ralph Norman really gets in the race. So it's a way of taking back the narrative when you make announcements in the way Alan Wilson has.
Now let's jump to that gubernatorial forum that had all the Republican candidates except Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who had another commitment. Here's 5th District Republican Congressman Ralph Norman.
Those who are claiming to be conservative have just switched. We're going to call them out on it. Now, this is what separates me from really every other candidate in this race. I will try to work with the legislature, but bottom line, we're going to get our infrastructure fixed. We're going to get our education fixed. The dollar ought to follow the child. And we're going to get the judicial, the way we select judges. We're only one of 2 states. Now, if they go along, fine. If they don't go along, we're going to have a debate in every city, in every county, and I will tell you how they vote, not what they say. They're all nice people, just like everybody running. We just have a difference of opinion on how to bring this state forward.
1st District Congresswoman Nancy Mace was invited but unable to attend the candidate forum in Greenville on February 23rd, but has been using the airwaves to talk about national issues and even got a shout-out last year from President Donald Trump at an event Evitt also attended.
Nancy Mace, where's Nancy? Here's something. Oh, are you a believer in what we're doing, Nancy? Nancy takes it on right from the start, right? Would you like to say something? Would you like to say we're doing the right thing? Good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nancy.
While not all of Mace's press has been flattering, she continues to roll out initiatives she wants to implement as governor. Like for all candidates, many issues they want to tackle would require legislative support.
Work with the legislature. I mean, I would work with them on drafting bills. We'd have weekly meetings on what we're working on to implement this agenda, finding what the challenges are. I would be very involved. I'm very hands-on. I don't even have a chief of staff. Like we have, like in my offices and in every race I've run, I have a very flat organization. And I like to be involved legislatively with policy, but also use the bully pulpit, but in a way that is constructive, not in a way that is detrimental to what's happening. As you saw yesterday, I called out Senate Judiciary, and I think people will get excited about what I'm proposing and the pressure from the bully pulpit that I have, but also the people of South Carolina, educating them on what's going on and what's not happening, I think could be very exciting. And we've seen the ability of people to come together and really get things done.
Spartanburg Senator Josh Kimbrell, who has raised little money and consistently polls last in the field, spoke at the Greenville event.
The reality is, the question is, are you going to stand with the status quo or you try to disrupt the status quo? And this goes back to what I said in my opening answer with you. There's 1 or 2 ways to do this. You can go in and say, I'm going to burn the house down, I'm going to burn it all to the ground. Okay, good luck. You're not going to pass anything. You've got to work from the inside out. So there's a lot of good people in the legislature. I see a lot of them in the audience today who are reform-minded folks. You've got to be able to push your reform agenda. It's one thing to scream at the wind, pitch a fit, object to everything. I object sometimes when I need to, but you've got to be able to advance policy legislation. There is no substitute for victory, as General MacArthur said, and having legislative experience does not hurt because that's where most of the change is going to come from.
On the Democratic side, Richland County Representative Jermaine Johnson jumped in the race in late October.
Rural hospitals are closing down. Individuals are dealing with so many problems right now. South Carolina has over 600 unsolved murders just since 2020 alone. We are in trouble in this state. We are dealing with so many problems that we have not seen. We know that in South Carolina, for 22 years, this state has been under a single-party Republican rule. In this most recent session, a supermajority in the House and a supermajority in the Senate.
Johnson is a consultant, a married father of 4, and has been an outspoken House member since being elected in 2020. He also delivered the Democratic message in response to Governor McMaster's final State of the State address in January. Mullins McLeod, a Charleston lawyer, declared his candidacy in August with a focus on cleaning up Columbia. He faces calls from the party to drop out following his disorderly conduct arrest last May, something his lawyer has called a mental health episode. Charleston Police dashcam footage of the incident shows McLeod incoherently rambling, making accusations, using vulgar words and threats against state and federal lawmakers.
But you see, servant leadership is a different type of leadership. It requires sacrifice. And that's exactly what I'm willing to do, because I believe the people of South Carolina deserve a governor that belongs to them and nobody else. I believe the people of South Carolina deserve a governor who will do their bidding all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, And I believe the people of South Carolina deserve a governor who cannot be bought at any price.
And stay tuned because I'm told another Democrat will be jumping into the governor's race. Remember, filing for all candidates opens on March 16th. Welcome to the wind down section, our little break from the news. We're glad you're here along with A.T. Shire, lead podcast producer, who has been absent for days. He's back, folks. He's safe and sound.
Hello. Thank you for picking up my slack while I dealt with RSV. It's not fair what they do to parents, or dads specifically. Let dads get RSV shots, please. I'm begging you, because I was just thrown to the RSV wolves. This was terrible. Okay.
And just for social distancing purposes, I had to come all the way to Charleston to distance myself from AT, just to be safe.
Rather safe than sorry. Yeah. As soon as he heard I was coming in today, Gavin got in the Subaru and just went straight down 26. He knew it was the safest way to do it. It's like
designated survivor.
Exactly.
Designated survivor.
Thank you. Yes, it's like designated survivors, right? As long as one of us survives, the show will go on, folks. So don't worry. All right. But Gavin, you're in Charleston.
In some form or fashion.
Exactly. What are you doing down there? How's it going?
We're down here for the Third Way Winning the Middle conference right now. So we're really starting just to get some rumblings, and talk about the upcoming 2028 campaign. That's why I'm here at Met Kennard. So we're just we'll probably have something for you guys in the future from this, but right now it's really just a big vibe check and kind of a state of play, scene setter. So, and also a lot of discussion about the importance of South Carolina when it comes to presidential primaries. So
just fabulous.
We'll have more for you guys on that in the future. It's not like there's anything else going on right now that we can talk about.
And it's just, there's nothing better than being in the third month of 2026 and going down to Charleston to talk about 2028. You know what I mean? Like, nothing finer.
When you kind of think about us being 2 years away from Super Tuesday, that's a little terrifying to think about.
That's at the end of Lent, right?
Then yeah, I keep telling everyone that's why I broke my foot. It's my Lenten sacrifice to learn how to.
Yeah, you gave up
all
walking.
mobility.
Yeah, you gave up ambulatory abilities. Good for you. You know,
and having to explain myself to every lawmaker that I encounter at the State House. Yes.
Well, Gavin,
so we're both we're all pieced together here.
So I'm in my final week of parental leave. Okay, and it's gonna for 4.5 of the 5 weeks I've been off, I have been sick, folks. So it has not been a vacation. It has been terrible. And I had, visitors. So it's been fabulous for old AT. Trust me, he wishes he was here working for you more often, okay?
And would you say Dom is your sleep paralysis demon?
He's my waking paralysis demon.
Wake paralysis demon.
Because I'm not allowed to sleep with him there. It's funny. You have the first kid and you're just like, wow, so easy. This is easy, dude.
You were spoiled.
And
you
then
guys were spoiled.
The second one you have, and you're just like, wow, you're the most dramatic little thing in the world. And I don't know if I like this one at all. You know, like, I don't like this. This stinks.
Who's he getting that from? Have your parents weighed in? Have Caitlin's parents weighed in?
Caitlin's mom keeps going, yep, that's Caitlin. Yep, that's Caitlin. Throwing her under the bus. So it's not me, okay, folks? I get more annoying as I age, all right? Caitlin got less annoying. I got more annoying, yeah. We crossed paths probably in college.
There's no way we can verify that.
No, it's unverifiable, folks. Anyway, I don't know if this is real or some Event Horizon scenario, but Gavin, please, is this Monday? Is it Friday? I don't know. Say the outro, please, because the show must
Always
end.
hard to tell. Yeah, but we'll have more of a wind down when I get back in town and once you're fully cleared by our authorities for us to be near each other. So we'll look forward to that on Saturday's episode, folks. And we'll have more recaps for you from what happened at the legislature this week. And again, thanks for listening to the pod. You can show us your appreciation by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever your podcast, or leaving us a voicemail at 803-563-7169. And you can always stay up to date with the latest news at SCETV.org and SouthCarolinaPublicRadio.org. And don't forget to support your local newspapers. The South Carolina Lede is a production of South Carolina Public Radio. Our producer is A.T. Shire. Amy Crouch is our supervising producer. Sean Birch is our executive producer. This podcast is produced with support from PRX and is made possible in part by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, as well as listener contributions to the ETV Endowment of South Carolina. For the South Carolina Lead, I'm Gavin Jackson. Be well, South Carolina.
Hello? Are you there? Are you in a bathroom?
How about now?
Oh, that's good. It must have been cranked before. It sounded like you were in a public bathroom or something.
You're like, oh boy, this is going to be